ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. ನೀರೊಳಗಿದ್ದ ದುರ್ಯೋಧನನ ಹೊರಗೆಡಹಿ ಊರ್ಧ್ವಯ ತನ್ನ ಗದೆಯಿಂದ ಮುರಿದ ನಾರಿರೋಧನ ಕೇಳಿ ಮಣಮರುಗಿ ಗುರುಸುತನ ಹಾರ್ಹಿಡಿದು ಶಿರೋರತ್ನ ಪಡೆದ. ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಪದ್ಯ, ಶ್ರೀ ಶ್ರೀಪಾದರಾಜರು brings to us the magnanimous parakrama of Bhimasena, where he destroys Duryodhana. The destruction of Duryodhana by Bhimasena is one of the major concept of Mahabharata, which almost declares the victory of the good, the triumph of the good, the victory of Pandavas. So this padya, which encapsulates this story of Duryodhana's destruction, is a major part of Madhwanama. Well, the padya dates back to the 18th day of the Yuddha, where Duryodhana's death takes place. And then the additional story of Ashwatthama killing the Upapandavas is also brought to us in this padya itself. Well, we'll see it in a split verse. Neerolagidda Duryodhanana horagedahi. So what happened after the destruction of Dushasana? So many Kauravas lost their life in the 17th day of the Yuddha. In the 17th day of the Yuddha, Shakuni was killed by Sahadeva. Then Dharmaraja killed various Kauravas. All the Kauravas were almost brought to death on those days. And seeing the side of Kauravas losing literally everyone, Duryodhana, he goes and hides inside a pond. That pond or Sarovara is called Dvaipayana Sarovara. He hides there and starts to do a mantra japa. Well, before hiding there, he goes and informs Sanjaya, who was with his father Dhritarashtra, that he is going to hide in a pond and do mantra japa, and consoles his father, and then comes and hides in the pond. Now sitting there, he does a mantra japa. This is a unique mantra which he has obtained from Durvasa Rishi. The power of the mantra is such that anyone who does the japa of this mantra continuously for 7 days, he will bring back dead people again to life. So in order to bring all those who lost their lives in the war, to bring them back to life, here Duryodhana, sitting inside the water, starts to do that mantra japa. And hearing this news of Duryodhana planning this mantra japa from Sanjaya, Ashwatthama along with Kritavarma and Kripacharya comes and visits Duryodhana in the pond. But at the same time, Bhimasena too comes there to drink water, and he gets to know that Duryodhana is trying to bring back dead people to life again. So he goes and says to Krishna. That is when Krishna, along with all the Pandavas, Arjuna, Dharmaraja, etc., they come to the pond to visit Duryodhana. When Krishna comes there, Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, Kritavarma, they all are having a meeting with Duryodhana, talking what they can do further. And seeing Bhimasena and Dharmaraja come there, Ashwatthama, they just go from that place, they run off to the forest. That is when Dharmaraja says, Duryodhana, you are a coward. You are literally a coward. Without fighting the war with us, you are going and hiding in a pond? How is it a Kshatriya dharma? You are a adharmi, says Dharmaraja. Duryodhana says, I leave the entire Rajya, kingdom to you. You can rule it yourself. I am going to do japa now, says Duryodhana. But Dharmaraja is fully, literally filled with anger with the words of Duryodhana, filled with disgust with the words of Duryodhana. Then Dharmaraja says, are you giving me arms in the form of giving me kingdom, that too at this situation? We have literally won everything now. Why do we need to beg from you the kingdom? Come and fight with us. When you lose also, we will get the kingdom ourselves, says Dharmaraja. That is when the one who couldn't hear the words and humiliation from Dharmaraja, Duryodhana, gets up from the pond and comes to fight. And he says, I will fight Gada Yuddha with Bhimasena, says Duryodhana. And all this story of Bhimasena fighting with Duryodhana is in the next line. So the first line that we saw is Neerolagidda, the one who is hiding inside the water. Duryodhanana horagedahi. Duryodhana was brought to land from water. Is encapsulated in the first line of the padya itself. Now the second line says, Urdvayatanna gadayinda murida. Uru means thighs. Dvaya means two. So the two thighs of Duryodhana has been destroyed or broken by the Gada of Bhimasena. Gadayinda Murida, says the second line. So as Duryodhana came out of the water to fight the Gada Yuddha with Bhimasena, there happens a huge Yuddha. At first Balarama comes there to stop Bhimasena and Duryodhana fighting. But then their fight continues. Here Duryodhana shows various tricks so that he could cheat Bhimasena. He places his head down and does somersaults, because there is a niyama, a rule in Gada Yuddha, that the Gada should not hit the person below the nabhi, below the navel portion. The Gada should not hit. Gada should always hit the portion that is above the nabhi, be it the head, starting from the head, chest, neck, or until the nabhi, the Gada can hit. But below that, the Gada should not hit. And what Bhimasena did, Sankalpa, Bhimasena, while Draupadi Vastrapaharana was happening, Duryodhana showed his thighs so that Draupadi could come and sit. For the humiliation he did to Draupadi, Bhimasena said that I will break your thighs. But here thighs is a portion that comes below the navel portion. So he cannot hit the thighs of Duryodhana with his Gada. Knowing this Duryodhana, evil Duryodhana, showed so many tricks to cheat Bhimasena. But Bhimasena then, with the Jnana, he is Sarvagna, he knows everything, right? With the Jnana that he had, he correctly hit the portion that is exactly in the backside of Nabhi. So Nabhi is the navel portion. So on the backside of Nabhi, which is the lower back end of the spinal cord, forcefully Bhimasena hits that portion of Duryodhana, and the two thighs of Duryodhana falls to the ground, gets separated, is literally destroyed by Bhimasena. Here Bhimasena, what the promise he did to Draupadi was that he will break the thighs of Duryodhana. That is also carried out, and the promise has been executed by Bhimasena by breaking the thighs. And the rule of the Gada Yuddha, niyama of the Gada Yuddha, is not broken by Bhimasena too, who has not hit Duryodhana below the navel portion. He has hit just exactly on the navel portion, but not in the front, but in the back, in the lower back. And Duryodhana literally falls to the ground without the other half of his portion, and immediately the fox and the crows and all these animals, they come and they start to bite and pluck the flesh out of Duryodhana's body. And hearing all this has happened, hearing that Bhimasena has taken his revenge for the humiliation that Draupadi had experienced, Ashwatthama, Kritavarma and Kripacharya comes there to meet Duryodhana. So this portion of his thighs, two thighs, Urdvaya, Uru means thighs, Dvaya means two. Thighs which has been broken by Bhimasena is beautifully described in this line, Urdvayatanna Gadayinda Murida. And after this, when Ashwatthama comes to console Duryodhana, Duryodhana was literally almost on his deathbed. He just had a little bit of prana, his prana left, nothing else. At that time Duryodhana says, Ashwatthama, you have to promise me. I and my all sons and my brothers have been destroyed by this Bhimasena and Pandavas. So what you have to do, Ashwatthama, you have to kill the sons of Pandavas. You have to make them in such a way that they should not expand or extend their lineage. You should kill all the sons of Pandavas. And with that, you should make my wife pregnant, and with the child that is born out of my wife, you should crown him again, says Duryodhana. In that deathbed too, he thinks evilly. And Ashwatthama agrees to it. Here Ashwatthama does not do the act, but agrees to the word of Duryodhana at that point. After this, Ashwatthama he goes to the forest and takes a nap. At that time, in a huge banyan tree, he sees an owl. In the dark pitch night, he sees an owl coming and eating the small kids of crows that was sleeping in the nest. So very small crows, those crows are sleeping in the net. And Ashwatthama sees the owl eating the crows. And Ashwatthama thinks that this is an indication to him from the Deva itself. This is how he should kill the Upa-Pandavas, the sons of Pandavas. So immediately he goes to the Shibira along with the Kritavarma and Kripacharya. He goes to the Shibira, the tent where the Upa-Pandavas, 5 sons of Pandavas were residing. And those were very deeply sleeping. At that time, in their sleep, Ashwatthama kills all the sons of Pandavas, and even Drishtadyumna was there. And seeing Drishtadyumna, immediately Ashwatthama remembers of his father Dronacharya, who lost his life because of this Drishtadyumna. So he even kills Drishtadyumna and sets fire to the entire tent, destroying all the Pandavas, and goes back. Here, through the charioteer of Drishtadyumna, Draupadi comes to know that her sons have been killed by Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama does not go like that. He even plucks out the heads of all the 5 Pandavas, and with the head of all the 5 Upa Pandavas, which means the sons of the Pandavas, he goes to Duryodhana. And seeing the head of the sons of Pandavas, Duryodhana, there he leaves his life. Now Duryodhana is dead. And here Draupadi is completely with Putra Shoka. She is literally crying and comes to Bhimasena saying that she has lost all her sons. That too, her sons that she lost was not in the battlefield, but the sons who were sleeping had been killed and dropped by Ashwatthama. And seeing the tears of Draupadi, Bhimasena again takes his ratha and goes to hunt Ashwatthama. Now this line of Nari Rodana Keli Manamarugi. Nari is the women. So hearing the Rodana cry of Draupadi, Manamarugi, the one who has a soft heart, Bhimasena, melted with the tears of Draupadi, and he immediately goes Guru Sutana Har Hidadum. Shiro Ratna Padeda. He goes to catch the Guru Suta. Suta means son. The one who is the son of Guru. Guru is Dronacharya, so Ashwatthama. Taking the huge chariot, Bhimasena goes to hunt Ashwatthama. That is when Ashwatthama aims the Brahma Shiro Astra against Bhimasena. And Krishna thinks the one who is the Abhimani Devata of this Brahma Shiro Astra is none other than the Bhimasena himself. So both the Brahma Shiro Astra and Bhimasena should be protected. And how this can be done? So for that, Krishna takes Arjuna along with him and asks Arjuna to aim one more Brahma Shiro Astra against the Brahma Shiro Astra that is arriving towards Bhimasena. But the moment when we think that when 2 Brahma Shiro Astra, if it collides, that will lead to the Lokanasha, destruction of the universe. So Vedavyasa Bhagavan comes there and asks Ashwatthama to take back his Astra. But unfortunately, Ashwatthama has lost his Brahmacharya because of the fact that he agreed, just with his words, he agreed to give progeny in the womb of Duryodhana's wife. He couldn't take it back. And even both the Astras now was done, Upasamhara, was taken back by Arjuna with the blessings of Vedavyasa Bhagavan. And there Bhimasena, Har Hididu, catches Ashwatthama and brings to Draupadi. And just imagine the dharma of Draupadi. There too Draupadi says, let us leave Ashwatthama. She is with such a frustration of losing her sons, crying with the depth of her voice. But even at that stage, Draupadi does not order Bhimasena or say Bhimasena to kill Ashwatthama. Rather, Bhimasena was saying that I am going to kill Ashwatthama. But here Draupadi says, let us leave him, he is a Brahmana. That is when Vedavyasa Bhagavan comes there and he takes the Shiro Ratna, that Ratna stone, precious stone, which was on the head of Ashwatthama. That was naturally on his head. And this Ashwatthama, having that stone is very powerful actually, because the stone gives him the power of having no tiredness, of having no hunger, of having all the power. And this stone has been plucked out of the head of Ashwatthama and it was given to Bhimasena by Vedavyasa Bhagavan. Shiro Ratna Padeda. This Shiro Ratna, the precious stone, was acquired by Bhimasena by the defeat of Ashwatthama. But Ashwatthama was not killed at that incident and he was left by them. Here, Krishna too, even before Ashwatthama was brought to Draupadi by Bhimasena, curses Ashwatthama saying that you have exceeded your limit of killing sons who were literally sleeping, children who were sleeping. So now you have to experience the fruit of your karma. And what is the fruit of your karma? You will live like a frog in the forest for so many days. You will lose the scent, the fragrance that you have, and you will literally smell bad. And you will be literally diseased. Cursed Krishna to Ashwatthama, and he too experienced the fruits of his evil deed that happened. And our Shastra say that this is a prarabdha karma. Ashwatthama is Lord Rudra's avatara, and this prarabdha karma was in him, that he had to experience all these things. And after this defeat, after acquiring the Shiro Ratna from them and consoling Draupadi, that is when the end of the war portion of Mahabharata comes to an end with this padya of Ashwatthama defeat. In the next padya, the victory that the Pandavas celebrated with the Parakrama of Bhimasena is beautifully described, which is the concluding padya of Bima Avatara of Madhwanama, and further we will move on to that padya in our next episode. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.